I am smoking mad. So I'm just gonna do this first and then I'm gonna do my unboxing video. So I was riding the bus and my route home takes me past a couple of homeless encampments. There is one that is not far from my house, maybe a mile and a half. I'm not crazy about that. Um, It's also near the Jovi supermarket. So the bus pulls up in front of the supermarket and a guy gets on. He lives in the encampment. His not clean, the clothes don't fit. He's on something. And I don't like the way he's looking at me. And it's just very sly, like, I've got plans for you kind of thing. And I have very, very seldom deal with somebody like this. And he was on something, and he had a demon. He for sure had a demon. And so he rang the bell for the stop before mine. And the bus driver stops, and he opens the doors, and the guy just looks around, and he's watching me. And the bus driver starts up again, and I ring the bell for my stop. And there's a guy standing in the aisle blocking the door, and I very politely said, "Excuse me, can you please move?" The guy has a massive attitude, doesn't want to move, and I indicate my buggy, and I say, "I don't want to bump you with my buggy. Can you please scoot off to the side so I can just get off real quick?" And while I'm trying to persuade this guy, the other guy gets off at my stop, and he turns, and he's standing there right outside and just smirking at me. I don't like that look at all. And I'm like, oh crap. And I don't really have a lot of good choices here. But it's like God put it in my head. And I said, "You don't live here. What are you doing?" He said, "Come on, let's go home." I said, "No, we're not doing that." I shoved the buggy at him and I got off, and he jumped back because he wanted to hit him. I said, "You get on this bus now." He said, "Why?" I said, "You don't live here. I know the people in my neighborhood who ride the bus," and he was not one of them. And if he had lived there, he would have said, "Yes, I do." He did not say that. And this happened the other time I had a guy hassling me after I got off the bus. When I told him, "You don't live here," he agreed with me. And so this guy was agreeing with me that no, he didn't live there, but he was going to follow me home anyway. And I said, "No, that's not going to happen. I let Happy in tonight because the weather's going to be really bad this weekend." So I said, "Well, okay, you want to do it this way, huh?" He said, "Yeah, yeah." I said, "Okay." And I got on my phone. I said, "So I'm going to call the police, or you're getting back on that bus." He said, "What?" I said, "I'm calling the police if you don't get on the bus." And he cussed me out and he got on the bus. And the bus driver's just sitting there with the door open. So I tell the driver, "Please shut the door." And he's looking at me, and shut the door. And he shuts the door. And he's just sitting there. I don't know what he thought I was going to do. And I like gestured, like, "Move, go, go. I don't want this guy anywhere near me." And, he's like, oh, and he drives off. I'm God save us. It is obvious this guy has never been a woman who worked nights or loved a woman who worked nights and had to ride the bus. Because if someone's bothering me and hassling me and threatening my well-being, I don't want him near me. I want you to shut the door and take him away from me, please. That's all I'm asking. Take him away from me. Thank you. So anyways, he did. And I came home, but I was looking, and I had some things, I could have, used them, but I didn't want to go that far. And I would just rather call the police and have the police deal with him, because I'm sure he has a record, and at least, he's got some kind of arrest warrant out. But, it's just ridiculous and it's funny because a lot of times I think, well, I don't really make an impact. what I do. I'm just, putting it out there. Nothing's happening, because it seems that way most of the time. Yeah, people seem to appreciate what I'm doing, but they don't really, it doesn't seem to have a profound impact on anyone. But the fact that I'm getting these kind of attacks says to me that something's happening because of what I do. I don't know. But yeah, so if you could please continue to pray for my protection, I would really, really appreciate that. Thank you.